Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Coach Howard. Yeah, yesterday, there's one student who raised this question about frictional force. Okay, let's examine this question again. Okay, you can see here, Esther held out her skating boot. Explain why the skating boot did not slip out of her hand. So this is quite direct, right? So you just talk about the frictional force between the boot and Esther's hands is greater than the gravitational force pulling it down. Okay, then next, state the forces acting on the skating boots when it's being held up as shown. So definitely it's the frictional forces and the gravitational force. Okay, now there are some questions, some students asked me about this thing. Okay, explain how a thinner blade would allow her to skate faster. Okay, for these questions, you got to approach from the PSLE perspective. Because if you see my book, right, if you turn to my book on page 3, if you turn to my book, I do a screen sharing. Okay, I would like you to turn to my book. I do a screen share here. Then I explain to you why I explain in this manner. Okay, inside my book on page 3, if you can see here, let me explain what is meant by this dispensational explanation. Okay, this is a big word. Dispensational. Okay, dispensational means okay, this is a new phrase that Mr. Yu coined. It means I made this word. It means that students and parents are to use current academic knowledge to explain answers in the primary level examinations, avoiding using complex O or A level knowledge to answer primary school's questions. Adopt a humble attitude in learning. There must be a good balance of humility and prestige. Okay, so what I meant is, now you have at PSLE level, you do not use O level or A level concepts to explain, because that will confuse your learning process. Okay, so I come back to these questions to apply what I meant by dispensational explanation. This part is a word, because dispensation means, in the world history, there are different era. So each era, there are certain laws governed by God to apply during that period. So when you pass this period, you don't use the previous law to explain this. So that's why now you are in primary school, right? You use PSLE science concept to explain these questions. Okay, so I come back to the question here. Okay, so the answer which I provide here, I say that a thinner blade has a smaller surface area. You all agree, right? Yeah, because if you examine the blade, a thinner blade definitely has lesser surface area in contact with the ice. This is what you have learned, right? Because of the lesser surface area, there's lesser frictional force between the blade and the ice. Okay, because lesser surface area means lesser frictional force. This is the concept you have learned. Okay, nonetheless, I want to show you something quite interesting that a parent has forwarded to me through the WhatsApp. Okay, I'll show you this interesting website. I do a screen share here. Okay, the website is actually, okay, can you see here? This part. Okay, this part, I enlarge it for you to see. Okay, they say frequently asked question. Does surface areas affect friction force? Okay, there's highlighted here. They say that the surface area of contact forces does not affect friction because friction depends on the object's mass, gravity, and coefficient of friction. Okay, there's this coefficient of friction thing. This one is actually O-level stuff beyond PSLE. Okay, so you agree with me, these two you learn, right? P6, you know what is mass. Gravity is dependent on the planet. So we take Earth as 1. So if you go to the moon, the gravity is 1/6 of the Earth. Okay, if you go to Jupiter, the gravity is about 3 times more than the Earth. So mass, right? Mass is the amount of substance in an object. So we agree that frictional forces depend on these 3 things. Okay, so actually, it says that it does not depend on the surface area. Now coming back to my question. Okay, coming back to my question here. Okay, now I draw for you to see. Although my drawing not very good. Okay, let's say you see from the top, right? The blade, this part, top view. This is the thicker blade. Okay. This is a thinner blade. Okay. So I just put here, this is the thicker blade. Okay, thicker blade. Change to red color. Okay, this is a thinner blade. Okay, now my question comes. One is thicker, one is thinner. Okay, by observing, do you agree that a thicker blade, if they are made of the same material, right, will have a greater mass, right? Agree? So maybe this one is 150 gram. Okay. This one maybe is only 1/3, 50 gram. Okay, now I come back to the website where the parents direct me. So you agree, right? The thicker blade is heavier, right? Because same material, thicker means heavier. So it also agrees with the concept that was being taught in this website. Frictional force depends on mass, gravity, and coefficient of friction. So you see a thicker blade actually is heavier. Yeah. So actually will result in greater frictional force. But however, I told you, right, for this question, this one, explain how a thinner blade would allow her to skate faster. So you don't explain in terms of the mass or the coefficient of friction. That's why you explain in surface area, because this is a P6 context. Okay. So I prove you two things. Number one, a thicker blade is actually greater mass. It agrees with the A-level stuff. Because mass will affect the frictional force. The greater the mass, the greater the frictional force. So I'm proving to you, this also is agreeable. This concept here is agreeable to what the parents show me, but the one I explained in terms of A-level. Okay, so Siya, you understand, right? This part. Siya, you are the one who raised the question. So we explain PSLE context, because PSLE context teaches, right, greater surface area, greater frictional force. This is a PSLE concept. If you go A-level or higher, right, they will teach you the surface area does not affect. Okay, the surface area does not affect, but that is O or A-level stuff. But for PSLE level, for PSLE testing, right, you follow this rule. Surface area does affect the frictional forces. Okay, so I have rest my case here. And this is the model answer given. And I agree to the model answer, this part. So the thinner blade has a smaller surface area in contact with the ice. So there's lesser frictional force between the blade and the ice, causing Easter to skate faster. So parents, so do remember for PSLE that we need to apply the dispensational explanation. Use PSLE concept to explain PSLE concepts. Do not use O or A-level science concepts to explain PSLE concepts. Thank you.